Well, Ben had a very interesting life in the sense that he was always really in love with music and jazz and things like that. And he went to England and was in a film called Dirty Dozen and a couple of other films that started in England. And he started a group, a musical group. And the extraordinary thing about that is that he had no training doing anything. He had no trumpet playing. He had no musical lessons for anything. But he did it. And I never heard him, but I heard about that later. And then he got very sick and passed away. Gorgeous.
Memories of any of the other actors? Hugh. Well, you spoke about Hugh.
Oh, I love Hugh.
And then Tony Ray, Nicholas Ray's son.
Right.
Was the tension? Did you? He came on the film later. Do you have any memories of?
Well, he came. I don't remember whether he started off in the film no, he did start off in the film. I was in the film, and then the guy Gibson was in the film, and he said no, he was going to do it with his girlfriend, and then he got a job and left, and Tony was going to be the first assistant, which is how he actually wound up earning a living for years and years and years. He did do some work as an actor when he first came out here, but then subsequently worked with Paul Mazursky, and became his permanent kind of assistant.
What was your memory of the first time you saw the finished film? Because it sounds like it was such an expansive experience.
I saw it in London. When it opened in London, I didn't see any of it before I was taken to the Oxford Theatre and was sitting there in the back of the theater and watching this film. I was flabbergasted.
What do you mean flabbergasted?
Well, it's a very odd thing to see yourself for the first time up on a blank screen, and it's you, but it's not you, but it's you, but it's not you. And it's, you really can't. I hated it, to tell you the truth. I did. I didn't like it. I didn't like me, I should say. I liked everybody else.
Well, we all love it now. We all love it.
Oh, I love it too.
Any other questions for Lelia? I saw somebody shoot a hand up over there.
I wanted to ask about the improvisations. Did you improvise every time you recorded, or did you make the improvisation once and then record it several times? How many times?
Oh, well, if you do something a couple of times, I mean, you're going to wind up hitting the same things, not necessarily saying it the same way. And we didn't do a lot of retakes, or doing it, let's do it again. And we didn't do that very often. It was only if, a bird flew in the window, or the police came and stopped us, or something like that.
How did you guys sense how did John decide when it was ready to shoot a scene? If you guys were kind of working it out.
I don't know.
No idea.
I have no idea.
Would you as an actor or as Lelia feel like this has started like a moment where it like crystallized into something? Because even though it's improvised, the scenes very much do have like a propulsive forward motion to them.
Mm-hmm.
They end and you definitely get like new information.
Well, when you are in a circumstance with those that you know and trust, you're likely to dare to do things on a more personal level than you would if you were skeptical about the motivation behind things. Does that make sense?
That's the second time you've mentioned daring, and I'd actually like to hear a little bit more about that. Like, what would be a moment that you remember surprising yourself with how far you went? Or would that something happen that you didn't know was going to happen because you felt that freedom?
Well, probably the dance sequence with David. at the end of the film.
Which aspect of it? Just the way you found yourself treating him, or the way?
Well, the whole thing. It was like, we literally danced and spoke, but we would go behind a screen and we would continue talking, and we'd still be dancing, and then we'd come out again. I mean, that's how I remember it. And so, I need sunglasses.
Dim it a little bit.
No. It's me looking into the light. Oh, thank you. Anyway, so it was not. You didn't think in that way. It was not. Part of it is our inexperience, where we weren't really worried about the end result. Partly because John made us feel so secure. That's issue number probably 2. But it was like you just were. It was, and it's very. It's now taken years to be able to achieve that level of security. I've done a lot of films since then, and I certainly learned how to work with a camera in England. But then it wasn't until I came back here and started doing American films again that, I did about 3 things in London that were really very good, in my opinion. I played Zella Fitzgerald. I mean, not bad casting.
That's pretty good.
But then I came back here and was, working in regular television and regular movies, and all of a sudden, all of this stuff started kind of. And I also began studying with Lee Strasberg. What?
Of the Actors Studio.
Yeah, of the Actors Studio, and he was an amazing teacher, and it was the right kind of work for me at the right time. So it was like taking all of what that I had experienced with Shadows and putting it into a stew pot, and now the stew is made. I don't have to think too much about acting anymore. I just kind of do it. And I know people hate hearing that, but it's true.